Greetings, I am Lies.
And I am Scandal.
And let's play a game together.
Yes.
Alrighty, we are
could do it.
excited for the weird confusion that is this game thus far.
Hooray!
It's almost like you're having, like having your own little literature club, don't you think? Almost like that.
Almost like it? It's like I just have that. Like, seriously.
Like almost. That's my advice for today.
Congratulations.
Thanks for listening.
I can't do anything else.
Listening.
Alright, so who's next?
Are we still avoiding Sayori?
We probably are.
Okay.
So, I guess the usual way we usually go to Yuri next, so let's just do that.
We're just going to do it in order. We're very methodical of just knocking them out in order.
Here we go.
Alright. Splat. This is wonderful. I can feel the emotion that you poured into it.
Honestly, I might have been doing something illegal at the time.
Is this the result of trying what I suggested yesterday?
No.
You listened to me and you thought about what I said?
No.
You thought about me when I wasn't around you?
Yeah, I guess so.
That's amazing.
You did a good job explaining, if you want to call that explanation words, and if you want to call that comprehension. Sure. I really just wanted to try giving it more feeling. Yuri visibly swallows.
Gulp.
Even her hands appear sweaty.
Ugh. I'm not used to this.
Used to what?
Words?
Hey.
On a page?
Paper?
You're not used to paper.
Bubble gum?
I'm sorry. Are you more used to digital? I have it on my phone, too. I took a picture of it.
I took a picture. I love that when people are, it's digital. You're like, not the same.
You took a picture of the paper.
It's been digitized, not that it is digital.
I don't know.
It's fine. Take your time. Oh my god. This interview.
I was like, I am also deep and profound, and you did not know, because you are also like Monica, and assume teaspoon depths in all.
Hey, you think I'm Sayori.
And in my case, you are wrong.
You're totally wrong. I know that Yuri likes to think before she speaks, so I'm losing my voice.
So excuse me for a
Excuse
second.
me. Excuse me, guys. Ooh. Sorry, I have had a lot of phlegm and mucus, and it's not been fun. Okay, I know that Yuri likes to think before she speaks, so I offer that patience to her. God, that's so condescending. I offer that patience to her.
Here,
it's
for
fine.
you. I will do this. I will give you the patience that is needed for your
experience, I suppose.
Things.
And I understand sometimes where it can be considered kind of like going like, yeah, I understand this thing, so I will totally give you that. Like, that, I completely understand where you're coming from. But I also feel like sometimes where people fail to understand just how goddamn condescending it kind of is, of going, you have needs, honey.
And I'll just offer you the opportunity to
yeah, because otherwise, you're just not a normal person. Normal people don't need that. It's okay.
Yeah. Just being appreciated like this, I guess it probably sounds really stupid.
She's actually looking at us for once.
But I know, the little side eye. It's really funny.
It's kind of cute.
It is so uncomfortable to be at total right angle to someone and try and make eye contact with them. Like, that is a hard stretch on your eye. Just to be honest, like.
Honestly, like, they do it so well with anime characters.
They
and it's
do.
hilarious.
You believe it. It's amazing.
Yep.
But seeing someone motivated, and by that I mean influenced by my writing, the stuff that I create that is above and beyond and more intellectual and more thoughtful and more considered than everyone else's, it just makes me,
#valid.
Really happy.
Are you saying you've never shared your writing before? Didn't we establish that already?
We have established all of this before.
Did our main character is just like, I don't care. What?
I have not paid any attention. Are you saying this thing, Yuri? Because I'm really uncomfortable. It feels like you stared into my soul.
Yuri nods. Actually, I have met some people who are what they call chameleons. They're incredibly capable of copying a style, basically after a little bit of time and exposure to it, or they're very good at basically inundating themselves with something and really being able to do so. And it's a skill. It really is.
They can
It's
pick up
impressive.
social mannerisms. They can pick up people's word styles. They can copy their handwriting, whatever it is, their emotional cadence, that kind of thing. And a lot of people are like, I've never felt so seen. They're like, dude, I was just trying it on like a t-shirt.
Right? Or it's just an interesting thing I do. Or sometimes it's an unconscious thing people do. Going like, I'm just really engaged with this topic that I'm interested in as a topic, not necessarily something that it's a hyper-focused thing.
It's also like some people picking up an accent when they're in an area. It's that's regionally different than theirs, and not really noticing that they're doing it.
Right?
All right.
Really? I don't believe it.
I really only write for myself.
In my tiny hands.
And besides, people would just laugh at me. You say after days of sharing your poetry, which you have continued sharing through all of these days around the entire club, so people would just laugh at you, even though that's not what's been happening this whole time. We sound like we've gone back in time to the first day.
It's okay. It's fine. Do you really think that? Again, Yuri nods.
Nodding.
Huh. Even your close friends? I don't have friends.
I mean, all my close friends have been seeing my poetry for days and haven't laughed, but I can still assume the worst if I want to.
For some reason, Yuri doesn't respond. Yuri! Hello! Yuri smiles sadly.
Splat, during lunchtime, I eat by myself.
That doesn't mean you don't have friends.
It's true.
And you don't also not, have close friends. Sometimes you might have friends that are somewhere else. Sometimes then they're on the internet. It's fine.
Sometimes they have different schedules than you in a different lunch period.
It's true.
Did you know that? She has a ton of friends, walks past all of them to eat by herself so she can study during lunch period.
Right.
Tells him, I eat by myself at lunch. It's deliberate, and my friends understand this, but I must say it to you.
Profoundly. Yes.
And I'm not saying that people can't be isolated at lunch,
Oh,
but
yeah.
there are several, I was one of those people that if I ever that when I was in public school, I usually felt like lunch was a work period to get done your food and then get out to play. And so if people are like, let's talk and visit and do stuff during food time, I'm like, that takes away from the activity of eating.
You're like, no, the goal, outside.
The goal is the outside if I want the outside. Or I have a book and I'm not allowed to read it all day except for in remedial reading and here. So I'm going to sit by myself in the cafeteria so I can read it here.
And I do also understand actually where sometimes, I remember seeing experiences where you'd watch people go, you seem like you're really talkative or you have a lot of friends basically during active class. But when it comes to lunch, you're mostly by yourself.
Yeah, there's that one too. And again, people can have different lunch periods and things. Having never gone to high school, it's not something I experienced, but I heard a lot of people talk about it.
Yeah,
All right. It's a great time to find a quiet spot and do some reading. In fact, I always have some books with me. At all times, even right now, I keep them strapped behind me under my hair. It's like Momo does.
That's actually why there's such a strong boob line.
Oh, hi. That's why my posture is so good. Otherwise, I'll drop the books. You could say I really enjoy reading. Well, that's one way to put it anyway. But books are so full of amazing and inspiring people. And in the books, they usually have friends. Oh.
And Jesus mice.
Yeah. I mean, Jesus allegories everywhere, honestly.
Are hilarious.
Everywhere in literature, all over the place. And it's amazing.
It's almost like
hand,
Christianity has decided to dominate a large part of people's religious experience.
Sometimes they're just martyr experiences and people go, it's a Jesus allegory, and your author's literally like, what? What? Excuse me? Seeing signs in everything.
It's true. However, but people
there
have
are
also
also
pointed out that sometimes where somebody goes, no, I meant to do this, and it's like, yeah, but you're also showing basically your background, how you were raised, basically your experience, the people around you. There are some things that people do that they do not realize is basically an influence of their wider culture at all.
It's true, or of their belief systems. Analyzing people's choices in their, especially fiction and fantasy literature,
right?
And how they create races or social structures or things like that can be very very indicative of the beliefs they were raised with.
Right.
And it's really interesting, literary analysis from like a sociocultural lens.
Right, and it's also, though, one of those things, too, that people also talk about, like, especially once you start getting into stuff like that, of to not, or to be really careful, though, with going too far with it sometimes, because, like, yes, I totally get some people are actually genuinely, like, not nice people, and they have some, or they just might be okay people, and they have some really terrible beliefs. Like, you can have many different, like, basically experiences involved around it.
The stuff in your works doesn't necessarily directly reflect the author's beliefs in any way, but the way in which they present that material can help you understand their beliefs,
right.
Or from their beliefs you can get to why they made what they did.
Right.
We've read some really cool breakdowns where it's definitely not a one-for-one comparison, but it's like you can see these choices as a mirror or an obvious interpretation from here's their background kind of thing. In the same way, whether it's positive or negative.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
anyway,
yeah, absolutely.
So full of so many people you want to fall in love with, or people you just know would make a really good friend. Cheerful people who always put a smile on your face. Or deep thinkers and problem solvers who discover the mysteries of life. That one's me. So when you look at it that way, I'm surrounded by friends every day. You know? And so what I'm saying is that none of you or the people in this club are friends, and indirectly that I don't have any friends, and that I replace those friends with characters in books, and that's enough friends for me.
You know, it reminds me a lot, honestly, of being a kid where in a lot of ways I read so much. And it was one of those other experiences where I liked books and preferred books, but I think mostly that was because my reality, compared to books, which are an artificial construct, based off of somebody going, I need to fulfill a narrative, and a narrative looks in a specific way, and it has a format that it follows, they were much easier to understand. Because reality doesn't do that. Reality doesn't follow simple or easy tropes in that way, and fiction is really easy to get lost in. And this is not a bad thing, but it's a thing to be aware of, and to really go, that is some deep, either like, potentially like, potential neurodivergence, or, you know, some deep depression, or anxiety, or, you know, just any number of, like, lack of, like, my family's not involved, or comprehension things, or whatever it might be. And it's very common.
And those friends don't laugh at me. They don't tease me for spacing out all the time. They don't make fun of my body type. And they don't hate me for acting like a know-it-all. In fact, know-it-alls are very popular in books. In fact, sometimes they are the main character. In fact, Sherlock Holmes could often be seen as a know-it-all, and he's extremely popular.
People say that about you?
That I'm a know-it-all? I'm not a know-it-all, Splat. It's the opposite. I don't know anything. I don't know how to talk to people. Even when I'm having a conversation that's complex and deep, and like I'm giving you writing advice like I did the other day, I'm kind of watching myself separated from me in my head, feeling like I shouldn't be saying what I'm saying, and that I don't know why I keep talking, but it happens anyway. I don't know how to make people see me as normal.
Again, interesting thing of going, this is Yuri's basically ideas of normal. Which you gotta realize when people going, well, this is all the things. You're supposed to have friends, or you're supposed to sound a certain way, or do certain things. It's like, no. Those are probably the values of the people around you, or basically the social expectations of whatever current, like, subculture you're involved in, or want to be involved in.
I can't tell you how many times I've talked to kids or engaged with, you know, younger individuals, even if they're just, you know, young adults, where they're just like, but I'm not normal. I should be all of these things. And I'm, you know, it's a problem I struggle with as well. And going, you don't have to be those things unless you want to be those things. And when you come down to it, whether it's in like self-help or personal development, or whether it's even like through a therapy lens or self-validation kind of thing, there's an experience of there might be things you think you're supposed to do, but if the lack of doing those things isn't harming you in any way, isn't causing you to feel like something's missing from your life, only like you're supposed to have it because otherwise people will think you are weird, or because you're not behaving normally, you can give yourself permission not to have it. Like if you usually only have a couple of friends, and then you make an effort to let more people into your life because you're supposed to have more friends, you're supposed to be friendlier, but it's not something you do naturally, and it's not something you really want to do, it's just something you keep trying to do because you're supposed to, you don't have to. You can have my permission, You can have Scandal's permission
Ah.
and your own permission. If you're trying to do something performatively, not because you want it, but because you think you should, let yourself not do it.
Right.
Okay? Like, you get it. I will validate you.
Yes.
All right. To see me as normal. I don't even know how to make myself happy.
Except as far as we can tell, also, Yuri is pretty happy reading books. That's it. So this is one of the things sometimes that I think is fun to watch some of this stuff and go, hang on, you really could point out going, yeah, but you like to write the stories that you do, and those things seem to make you happy. Mm-hmm. Now, that doesn't mean that it doesn't address other issues, but we also don't know these characters very well.
I would say it can also be the case of recognizing going, you say reading books and getting to know those people makes you happy. But then you say you don't know how to make yourself happy. And maybe you don't know how to make yourself happy overall, but you do recognize how to make yourself happy in individual moments. And that can be a really important thing. Sometimes recognizing sort of the value of your own self-understanding of going, yeah, my life might be a mess and there might be a huge amount of things I want to change. I don't even know how to, but going, okay, but do you actually ever know how to make yourself happy? And not like a big, giant, overarching happy, but like, do you understand that you like to, cook a meal for yourself once in a while? Do you understand that you like to play a video game sometimes? Do you understand that you like to take yourself out for a walk with nobody there and it feels good and that makes you happy in that moment?
Right.
You recognize things about yourself that do.
There's also the thing that I think is interesting of going, Yuri constantly seems to be bringing up where there's this idea that Yuri's body type is unacceptable. And I wonder if part of the thing is being like, yeah, her boobs stick out so much as part of the thing is to point that out. But what bugs me is that, again, I'm like, but who the fuck has a kind of school uniform that does this?
Well, the thing is the problem is with the jacket is no jacket will naturally tuck up and under and in like that. Again, I've mentioned that it almost looks like her chest was added on as a separate layer because of how completely it attaches and shadows at the front of her. As far as like it's concerned, like it looks like one of those snap-on pieces for a model toy or something.
Which also might be part of the meta of going like, this isn't normal and I know that, but I'm literally stuck with this because this is what I was forced to be.
This is what I was drawn with.
This is what I'm not bad. I was drawn that way.
Right, and the thing is going, that it is less common in the overall world to have really large breasts.
Yes.
And that doesn't mean it's a bad thing at all, but it does mean people notice it because people notice variations, especially variations that we make a big deal of, such as this particular body variation has something to do with sex. And you're like, it literally doesn't. It's just a proportional variance.
And it's also been a thing that I have seen that has made me uncomfortable, especially in regards to going, like, people have done this with actual kids. Like, considering these are, high schoolers, middle schoolers, and going like, they're like, well, you have such big boobs,
You're
mature. And that is wildly not right. Like,
but yeah, the choice with her jacket is really interesting to me, just because of like you really would have to roll and tuck that material. It also would have to be tailored to fold in that way instead of just sort of bulge over everything together. And that's very unusual for a school uniform.
Yes.
All right. I have all these feelings, and all I can do with them is read and write. But it wasn't until now that I started sharing it with you.
Yeah.
Except for you've been sharing it with us for like 3 days.
Yeah.
It's okay. That I really understood what was missing all this time. Interaction and, social and feedback and, a two-way communication. I not being an echo chamber in my own head.
But I haven't really done anything? Like, what?
No. That's wrong. Just being patient and respectful. That's really important to me. I know I'm a difficult person, Splat, and that you've only known me in the context of this club and no other interaction ever, so it's been extremely limited. I speak too slowly. I second-guess myself all the time.
What?
I come in as an authority randomly and judge people really aggressively. I read too deeply into things. But every time, you've always treated me just like anyone else. Me treating you as garbage like everyone else.
Yeah.
Equality.
Yeah, that's what I'm here for.
Hi.
Hey, here's the hammer. I will apply it liberally to all of you.
I don't discriminate. I hate everyone equally.
Yay!
Splat's character tagline. Along with bold.
Yeah, bold.
Boldly discriminating against all people but me.
Oh, God. All right.
It's so rare that I feel comfortable with myself when I talk to others. Usually I'm having a low-grade panic attack at all times. But that's why every time I talk to you, I just feel really happy.
Hey.
Except I'm retroactively applying that to the other experiences where it isn't necessarily the case. But today your poem was directed towards me, so this is amazing, and thereby has always been directed towards me.
I see.
Sorry, I'm not allowed to be meta.
Well, I treat you how you deserve to be treated, Yuri. Reads it off of smudge on hand. Deserve to be treated.
I read this line
Hurry.
yesterday when I was collecting poetry excerpts, and I thought since the girls all swooned in the show that it was on,
Yeah.
that I would use it.
Yes, it sounds perfect. Well, you know what? We're going to have to see how well we treat Yuri in the next one. So thank you very much, guys, then, for joining us. If you like what we do, please feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and also share our videos. If you're having a good time with us, please also feel free to go check out our Ko-Fi or Patreon. Got the links in the description down below. And I have been Scandal.
And I have been Lies. And it was
great
great playing with you. Bye!